Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking into, well, a really incredible life story from our source materials.
Yeah, it's quite something. We're focusing on a news report about Sister Inah Canabarro Lucas. She lived an incredibly long life.
And she recently passed away. For a time, according to Guinness World Records, she actually held the title of the world's oldest person.
That's right, 116 years old.
So our plan here is to unpack this news report, pull out the key facts, some really surprising details too, and put it all into historical context.
Exactly. We want to help you understand why a life like hers, spanning so much change, is so significant.
Okay, so let's start with the main news from the source. Sister Inah, a Brazilian nun, she died at 116.
Her order announced it on a Wednesday, based on when the report came out.
And she only recently got that world's oldest title, right?
Yeah, pretty recently. Guinness World Records, GWR, they recognized her officially in January 2025.
And that was after the previous title holder, Tomiko Ituka from Japan, passed away.
Correct. And GWR lists her birth year as 1908.
1908, wow.
There's a little detail in the source, though, that kind of shows you what times were like back then. GWR has June 8th as the date.
Okay.
But her nephew, who's 84 himself, told the Associated Press she was actually born May 27th.
Oh, really? So why the difference?
The official registration was just delayed by a couple of weeks. Apparently, that wasn't too unusual back then. It's a small thing, but it tells you something.
Definitely. And thinking about 1908, the source paints a picture. Theodore Roosevelt was U.S. president.
Right. And penicillin hadn't even been discovered yet. Think about that.
No antibiotics. And movies were still silent.
Totally silent. It's almost impossible to imagine being born into that world.
And living through everything that came after. 2 world wars.
The space race, the internet, social media. Just the sheer amount of change she witnessed firsthand, it's staggering.
It really is. And what makes her long life even more, well, surprising is something her nephew mentioned.
Oh yeah, that anecdote. He said she was incredibly skinny as a kid.
So skinny that people apparently didn't think she'd even make it to adulthood.
Let alone become a centenarian or, a super centenarian living to 116.
But she did survive. And she chose a specific path early on. The source says she took up religious work when she was just a teenager.
Dedicated her life to it.
And did the source say what she thought was the secret to her longevity?
It did. And her answer was very clear. Her Catholic faith. Longevity Quest, that's a group that tracks these really long lives. They quoted her saying, God is the secret of life. He is the secret of everything.
Simple but profound for her.
And the report adds she got a blessing from Pope Francis for her 110th birthday. So faith was clearly central to her worldview and, in her eyes, her long life.
The source also sketches out her movements a bit. She wasn't always in the same place.
No, she spent a couple of years in Montevideo and Uruguay.
Okay.
Then back to Brazil, lived in Rio de Janeiro for a while.
Right.
Before heading back to her home state, Rio Grande do Sul.
And profession-wise?
She was a teacher for
Right.
a lot of her life, yeah.
Imagine the generations of students she must have taught over, well, decades.
Absolutely. And the source includes this one really striking detail about a former student.
Oh, yeah.
It mentions General João Figueiredo. He was one of her students.
Figueiredo, the military leader who governed Brazil.
The very same one. From 1979 to 1985. The source just notes it as a factual connection, part of her teaching history.
That's quite a connection. Shows the reach she had.
It really does. And besides her faith and teaching, the source mentions a more personal interest too.
What's that?
She was a huge soccer fan, lifelong supporter of her local club, Sport Club International.
No kidding. That's great.
Yeah, apparently the club celebrated her birthday every year. They even put out a statement when she passed, paying tribute to her kindness, faith, and love. A nice touch.
Adds a very human dimension to this incredible lifespan. So where does she rank, overall?
Well, according to Longevity Quest, again, cited in the report, she was the second oldest Brazilian ever recorded.
Second oldest Brazilian. Okay.
And the 15th oldest person globally, ever. That's pretty high up the list.
So with Sister Inah's passing, who holds the title now?
According to GWR, it's now a British great-grandmother, Ethel Caterham.
Ethel Caterham. And how old is she?
As of the report, 115 years and 252 days old.
Wow. Still well over 115.
And GWR adds a bit more context on her, too. She's thought to be the last living person who was born in 1909.
The last one from 1909.
And the last British person born before 1913. Again, just highlighting these incredible spans of time.
It really grounds you. And just for comparison, the oldest person ever recorded, who was that again?
The source mentions her Jean-Louise Calment from France.
Right. Comma?
GWR confirms she lived 122 years and 164 days, born way back in 1875.
1875. That's just hard to fathom. It sets the absolute benchmark, doesn't it?
It really does, puts these other incredible ages into perspective.
The source also briefly mentioned someone else GWR had tracked, didn't it, from an earlier report?
Oh, right. It referenced a GWR update from January 2023. At that time, after Lucille Rendon of France passed, the oldest living person was Maria Brañas Morera.
Morero, okay. American Spanish.
Yeah, born in the U.S., San Francisco, but lived in Catalonia, Spain for over 2 decades. She was 115 then.
Still going strong at 115 back then.
And the report even included a fun detail. Her Twitter bio apparently said, "I am old, very old, but not an idiot."
Huh. I like that. It reminds you these are real people with personalities behind the big numbers.
Exactly. Fascinating individuals. But the main focus now shifts from Sister Inah to Ethel Caterham.
Okay, so let's kind of wrap this up. We followed the journey of Sister Inah Canabarro Lucas through this source from a child who, well, wasn't expected to survive long,
Right.
to becoming this devoted nun, a teacher influencing all sorts of people, even, historical figures,
And a soccer fan.
and a soccer fan. And for a while, the oldest person on the planet, living through just immense change from 1908 onwards.
Her story and, hearing about Ethel Caterham, remembering Jean Calment, it really makes you think about human lifespan and just how fast time and history move.
It does. Maybe take a second, you listening, think about the world you were born into and compare it to today.
Yeah.
Now, try and stretch that comparison across the time frame Sister Inah lived through. Silent movies to streaming, horse carts to, well, everything we have now.
It's a mind-bending exercise.
And it brings us back to that question of longevity. People are always searching for the secret, aren't they?
Yeah,
Diet, genes, lifestyle.
always. So science is looking into all of that now, of course.
So, thinking about Sister Inah's very simple answer, quoted right there in the source, God is the secret of life. He is the secret of everything. What do you make of that?
It's a powerful statement of her personal belief.
Yeah, how does that kind of deep personal conviction fit in with, all the scientific stuff we talk about today? Especially considering the science of aging wasn't really even a concept when she was young.
That intersection of faith, inner life, and physical endurance across such a long period, it's definitely something interesting to ponder, something to think about after you're done listening.